Anyway, time is coming now to 3 o'clock. I want to welcome you all here. I expect some more people will slowly fall into place. Bob?
Where are you, Steve?
I'm in Houston.
Ah.
Okay. Trying to stay warm. I didn't expect when I came to Houston I'd worry about things like that. But sometimes you do. Look, I want to apologize in advance. I screwed up on this invitation. I ended up having both A102 and A108 at the same time. So we had a small group from A102, A108 this morning. And I promised them that after I took the recording and had it processed, I'd call them back again for another meeting at A108.
Was 108 Minlong?
Meanwhile,
Yes. Yeah.
so this is primarily pointing to the Phuoc Shau people. So I see a couple of you guys have had some experience in the earlier Zooms that we've had. Dave, Phil, I think you've been on before on other teams. And Ivan, of course, has been around. But I'm still, the invitation went out at A102 for probably close to 30 some odd people. So I don't know what we're going to get and how many people from A108, which is only about 18 people, are going to show up in this meeting. Anybody from A108 is welcome to stay and listen in, but I will host another meeting for them. I'm recording the meeting. If anybody has a problem with that, please let me know. We'll try to keep you secret, mask you or something.
When I speak, it doesn't come on green.
Tom, you're fine. You're doing fine. I see you. I hear you.
Oh, you can hear me and everything?
Yeah.
Hear you clearly.
Okay, good.
Speak.
Good.
If you want to mute, you touch that.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. My tech support.
Have her show you the mute button so you can turn yourself on and off later.
Okay.
You're going to want to probably mute when everyone's talking because it's out of background.
What's your name, Mary?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me change his name. Hang on.
Show her the mute button.
That's my name.
Oh, you changed it.
I didn't. He did.
Oh, good job.
Okay.
All right.
So show him the mute button so he can turn the mute button on and off as he needs it.
Push it.
That's to the bottom right of the black area of the screen. Now he just turned it off, but now you got to turn it back on again when you want to talk.
Okay, got it.
You got it. You're now an expert on Zoom. Okay. As I said, we're going to record this. Excuse me again. Ivan, keep the conversation going here.
Okay. Phil, it's good seeing you again.
Hey, you too, buddy.
How's the weather over in Eastern Oregon?
It's colder than colder than hell.
Yesterday morning, it was 16 here in Eugene, and this morning it was 20.
Was that right?
That's freaking
Well,
cool.
it's in the 20s right now. It's supposed to get up into the 50s come Monday. So I'm looking forward to that.
We got rain coming in Monday for the 5 days supposedly, but my
Yeah.
son lives up in the mountains out up in Central Oregon, and Tuesday night he got home. He had about 12-14 inches of fresh snow.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
I was
guys
hoping
would
spring
hate
is right
me.
around the corner.
What's that?
I'm planting flowers this afternoon.
Oh, don't say
It's sunny and dry.
You know where
And,
the mute button is?
that.
I'm sorry.
Where are you?
I'm in Santa Clarita, California. It's about 40 miles north of the prominent part of Los Angeles.
We're sorry that you live in California.
What, the
Okay.
San Andreas Fault?
Well,
There.
I'm not sorry at all. The house is paid for and it's the life of Riley. And
Well,
I don't shovel snow.
That's right, you don't.
that's why I'm in Houston. I don't shovel snow either. But the difference is when the earthquake opens up, all you guys in California are gonna go straight to hell. Now,
Hey,
Texas,
I'm from Eureka, California.
hurricanes are gonna come and take us all up to heaven.
I'm on the ocean in California, up way north in the Pacific Northwest, and we have earthquakes, but no snow.
Are you up by Reading?
Yes, I am in.
You're on mute. You went to mute.
Can't hear you.
I'm about an hour and a half below Oregon by Crescent City and
Okay.
Eureka in the Redwoods.
You're on the coast then.
Yes,
That's nice. That's nice up there.
it's beautiful.
Good fishing down there.
Yeah, it was better back in the day.
Can I ask some questions?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Whilst I was there, I had a pet peeve and a major fear. And I've talked with other people and asked the same two questions, and I get all kinds of weird replies. My biggest fear was I'd run out of ammo. And my pet peeve was that there was such poor quality assurance on the ordnance that was dropped on Vietnam, in that it seemed like it was always used against us. And if everything would have exploded such as it should, we wouldn't have had so much crap come down on us.
Not all that ordnance was US drop by air ordnance. There were a lot of things that went out, particularly in I Corps. There was NVA artillery that didn't explode. And when they're talking about what do they call it? XOD or whatever, unexploded explosives, they don't mention that fact. It's all the Americans' fault. And they're finding, I believe there are some numbers, I don't have them, that a high percentage of that is North Vietnamese artillery ordnance.
I have to compliment the ammunition manufacturers, though, for the 5.56 rounds we had. I think in my near 3 years in the Army, I think I got off probably 2,000 or 3,000 rounds and never, ever, ever had a misfire.
All right, so here you are blaming the American manufacturers of ordnance, but your experience shows otherwise. I'm suggesting that the problem may be with the Russians and the Chinese, and that you have just been misled by the propaganda of that war and those people who had ideas adverse to what we had. Larry, were you disappearing somewhere? You're on mute right now, but you left your car. So I was wondering how you're working here by walking along. You must have a phone or something that you're working on. But you're muted, so you have to unmute your speaker so you can talk.
He probably can't hear you.
Well, he's trying very hard to hear me. You know, we don't have any rules here about wearing face masks. I'm not worried about getting COVID-19 from anybody here.
Well, I think the end of March is our governor, she's going to release all restrictions here. Supposedly.
Okay.
You think?
I wouldn't hold my breath on her.
Hopefully in December, she's not around no more.
Well, she is. She can't run anymore. So
Oh, is that right?
if she lasts that long.
Oh, she'll,
Larry's turn his microphone on so he can speak.
How you doing, guys?
I'm doing fine.
Good. I thought I'd try to say hello. I'm the guy with the mask.
Yeah, and we can hear you now.
Good, good, good.
Hey, Michael Stahl. Can you hear me? This is Bill Melvin.
Yeah, Bill, I see you there. How you doing,
You and I
brother?
were the only ones that I recognized that were at 10 foot at the same time. I was there from, I guess, July to early October, and then I went into the Mike Force.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was the XO of the team for that period.
Yeah, I got there in August and left right after Tet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did,
1 year.
It was 67.
Nobody's here from Shau.
I am.
Dave, yeah, okay, right, that's right.
Hmm.
So you're the earliest one from the A102 sequence that's here today. So why don't you start the ball rolling over here?
Well, I got to Ashau in November of 65. I had been at Phuoc, and several members of my team at Phuoc, we had come over together as a PCS team. And several of them had gone to Ashau in August. But I waited. I was building a combo bunker at Phuoc, and I waited and came up in November and joined them. Skip Minix, Earl Petty, and Chuck Bartley. And anyway, when we got to Ashau, it was a lot different than Phuoc. That was for sure. That there was no friendly villages around there. It was just tall elephant grass and mountains. And we would send out patrols and everything, and they'd get into contact once in a while. We get probed once in a while. Well, when the monsoons came in December of 65, right after that, things started to change. We started getting contact every time we went out the gate. And a lot of times we'd have to call in air support in order to get back to the camp. And we were getting we just could tell things had changed up there and that there was more activity going on. We got a strange Christmas card from our previous commander, and he warned us. He was down at Saigon TOC, and he warned us that things are getting big up in your area. Be careful. And he wished us the best. And anyway, it kept going on like that. A lot of enemy activity. And towards the end of January, Skip Minix, the team sergeant, got us all together, and he says, "Hey, the C team wants a E&E plan." He said, "I don't know where the hell we're going to E&E to." He said, "We're so far away from everything else, but I'll get one." He says, "I just hope that if they're going to attack, that they attack before our team rotates out." We were scheduled to rotate out in March, and that was probably maybe about 50%, maybe a little bit more of the team that was going to rotate out. Well, I was supposed to go on R&R to Tokyo beginning of February, and I got into Da Nang to wait for my flight. I ended up getting acute bacterial gastroenteritis and went to the hospital instead of going on R&R. And by the time I got through, they told me my replacement was already out at Ashau. I was a radio operator, senior radio operator. And so they said, you'll come back in here and you'll work on the C team, radio team. So that's what I ended up doing. And then a little over 10 days later, I guess it was, when Ashau got attacked and eventually got overrun. And then they had waited until the team had rotated. Skip Minix, Earl Petty had already been out of there because he got wounded. I think it was in early February, and he got medevac back to the States. And Chuck Bartley, he rotated out of there, and but that's what went on.
That's an interesting perception in there because there are other instances of camps in which things seem to happen when there was a change in command.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they knew what we were doing that well to be able to say there's going to be a change in command. Let's attack that then. You're suggesting that might be a possibility. That's an interesting point I just hadn't considered before.
Well, I'm sure it's a possibility because, you know, they, of course, have got sympathizers inside the camp and can tell when people come in. You know, we even found, we went out one time, myself and I forget who was with me, and we went on the other side of the airstrip and went into the elephant grass over there. And we found this big, wide trail that ran parallel to the airstrip. And the North Vietnamese were using that trail. And we followed the trail a little ways and we found where maybe one or two people broke off of that trail and went towards the camp. And we trailed that down and we found somebody was coming from inside the camp and going out and meeting these people out there just outside of the wire. And we never did find out who it was. But I think there's a lot of ways that they can find out when teams are going to rotate.
I could realize you really had a very well penetrated CIDG, considering what happened and the attack. But I would be surprised that the CIDG were as aware of what your personal rotations were. I mean, maybe there's some of them who really understood what was going on other than what they had to do every day.
Well, they could keep track of how many new people arrived in the camp. And I mean, if there was a few new people that arrived at a particular time, they could probably ascertain that maybe that was the rotation time.
They're giving them a numerical count, like the Montagnards out in the trail saying, okay, Boku VC or whatever. They knew sort of orders of magnitude that they could pass on in some way.
Yeah.
One interesting story about Asha I want to pass on. So I received a call from a Canadian company. This was, I don't know, in the mid 90s or maybe a little later. And they said the heaviest concentration of Agent Orange in all of Vietnam is at the A Shau camp, and specifically at this place. And do you have any idea why? So I didn't, but I called a couple of people, namely Monahan, who was the demo man at the time out there. And he said, yeah, it's very simple. He's pointing to a place right in front of this bunker over here. And in Westmoreland's book, A Soldier Reports, Westmoreland says that he flew into A Shau and somebody shot at him from across that elephant grass. And he said, why did you clear out the elephant grass? And he was told that they had minefields, old minefields out there. And he said, I've got just the thing for you. And he set up a whole bunch of barrels of Agent Orange, which they brought into the camp and never got around to spraying. But when the attack came, those barrels were all full of bullet holes. All ripped out. So it was all concentrated in this one spot. And that was the explanation for the fact that A Shau had the greatest concentration of Agent Orange at any place in South Vietnam.
Yeah.
So we might have had a lot of North Vietnamese that got Agent Orange.
Well, they claimed to be. It was their own damn fault. So anyway, when the team left A Shau after that battle, they were put into there was a TDY team at Tien Phuoc, and then they were slowly replaced by other members of A Shau, the A Shau team that came in, and that became the PCS A Shau team. Some of the other people were sent off, but we don't have anybody from that 66 timeframe here. So the next one, we just had a call this morning, just before we started this, from Lawrence Cooper. I think he was a radio operator with a fair amount of time at the camp. He had one part of a tour, but he got malaria and then came back again. He wishes everybody, couldn't stay for the thing. He had an appointment today, but he wishes to say hello to everybody here. So I'll do that for him. But that sounds about the time where Bill Melvin and Phil are coming into the camp. Were you then where Lawrence Cooper was there? That name ring a bell?
Yeah, Lawrence came in first as just an administrative assignment. And he went back to the States and went through training group and then went back to Vietnam. At least that's what Top Harris told me.
Yeah, I know that I know he was the comm or the radio operator. I remember him taking down the antenna one time. He told me that it needed to be maintained or something. And being a dumbass lieutenant, I didn't know any different. So I said, "Yeah, sure, let's go ahead and take that thing down." And of course, that took us out of communications for a long time. And the C team they sent a helicopter out there to find out why we weren't talking to him anymore. He was a good guy. He was a really good guy.
Bill, you got something to add here? Phil Jacques, are you frozen?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just I'm listening to everybody. See Bob Keller's on here. Hey, Bob.
Hi, Phil. How are you?
Good.
Good.
No, interesting. Why would they take down the antenna? That would be my question.
Yeah, I don't remember now why, but I know he thought it was a good idea to take it down and have it serviced, and so we did. And it was a disaster there for a little bit.
Is that like sending somebody down to S4 to get pole grease?
Yeah, like that. When were you there, Phil?
I was there 16, 9, and 70.
Oh, okay.
I was senior commo.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I think we took the antennas down every once in a while to check the connections on there because of the corrosion. We did that at 104 all the time also.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil.
There's Barry.
Hey, Barry.
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
He figured it out.
Good for you.
Hello, Barry. Ivan Davis here.
I know Ivan. I know you,
Okay.
good buddy.
I think we're going to be back in San Antonio at the end of March.
Hey, there's Bob Keller.
Hey, Barry. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Bob?
Wonderful.
Did anybody have any idea what happened to a fellow named Clay Reisner?
Don't recognize the name.
No, never heard of him.
How are you spelling it?
I think it's Reisner. He was on the Mike Force for just a little while and then came to Phuoc in October of 70. And he was on one of my last operations with the Mike Force, and it was the very bloodiest day I've ever had out in the field. And we were in 6 different firefights in that day. And nobody mentioned to him that, yeah, this isn't the way it goes every day. But at the end of the evening, we were sitting around finishing supper. And he said, I never realized the insides of the human body were so colorful. And that was the only comment.
Oh, man. That was right before you had your PIR.
I think he was talking about a guy by the name of George Geisler.
That's Buddy.
Yeah, that's
Buddy.
Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy.
Buddy Geisler. Oh, yeah.
and he is deceased.
Right.
He died
He,
about 6 months after he came back from Vietnam.
Buddy died,
Yeah, he got
71.
motorcycle
died in
accident.
motorcycle.
Truck accident.
No, it wasn't a motorcycle. He was operating a city vehicle with a boom truck. And the boom was in front of the vehicle and they're going along and the boom let go and crashed through the windshield and killed him. He was probably working for the Public Works Department or something like that for the city of New York.
Oh, okay.
He was engaged to get married. Real nice guy. He
Did
once
any
shot
of
a
you
guy.
guys get sick from Agent Orange?
Say again?
Did anybody get sick from Agent Orange?
Not me. I
Yeah,
lost
I
a lot
have.
of hair, but they didn't say that was Agent Orange.
They, I had, this is my second year off of chemo from leukemia. And they said it was probably Agent Orange. And when they put me on chemo, they said, your hair is gonna fall out. And all it did was get thicker.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I got Agent Orange. I had prostate cancer and diabetes, and my brother died of it about 5-6 years ago. He had a Parkinson's like disease,
Yeah.
and it's awful. And I still get problems with it every once in a while.
It's terrible to hear.
We had a sergeant in phase 2 named Cooper, and I saw him on the national news. He was laying in a hospital bed with leukemia, but he was one of the ones that was marched out of Nevada and they tested the atom bomb on him.
Oh, boy.
He was a drill sergeant
Hey, Cliff,
when I was in basic training at Fort Ord, California.
you don't type any passwords.
Wow.
You don't type any passwords. You just click on that link.
Who is that? Cliff? Is that
Put
Cliff?
myself on. Let me put myself on.
He's trying to get Cliff Neal to hook up with us, I think.
Okay, well, I've muted him there so he can have a conversation. Tom, what was your time frame?
I was probably the last group of people at Ming Long. I was at there. I got into Vietnam in the first part of 70, and we turned over. There was just me, a Captain Fisher, and I was a 05B4S radio operator, and a Tom Alsop, a medic. That was the only 3 people at the A side. And the artillery unit was still down below us. And the Mountain Yard Village, we used to go hang out there because they're the best fighters in Nam. And anyway, in my opinion. Anyway, yeah, we were the only 3 there. And then we went through the, what they call it, Arvanization, turned over my commo bunker to them. And before I left, it was trashed. They had taken all the batteries and sold them down in the village. They had taken all the plywood out of our bunkers and taken them down to the village. And so I started at B11, July. And I was there for about 5 months, and then I went out to 108. And we worked all our butts off building a talk at B11 in July. That was all our downtime. And when I stopped there in a Huey, coming back down to Nha Trang to D-Rose, the talk was like a swimming pool. It was totally flooded. So it was kind of depressing. But yeah, that's my thing. I was the last group at 108.
Well, you were at A108, not Min Long, right?
Yeah, 108.
Yeah, not Tin Phuoc.
No.
Okay.
No. We had Hatan, Baton, Min, Jivuk. Actually, they were all part of our website that we listened to, and I would be calling in spookies and artillery strikes if any A teams got into contact.
Ivan, who was the fellow with us from this morning from A108 that had to do the issue ID cards to the Montagnards.
Oh shit, there was only 3 of them on there and I thought I would remember a name.
One of the he was an officer, right?
Yes.
Okay, and one of the officers had had been at Haughton and not Haughton, Minlong, and then he went to C team and went around making ID cards for everybody. Look,
What year was that?
this was in 70.
Right.
So
Now, the one piece of interesting information, which is very strange from what you said, because the camp wasn't closed as B11 was, but the camp was turned over to become a border ranger camp. So if they went and stripped the TOC, they were stripping the place that they were going to live in for the next period of time. And Minlong, or start out with Phuoc. Phuoc survived until the 3rd of December of 1972 when it was finally closed down. And Minlong actually survived into 1973. So, I'm just surprised that if they did for them to do that, because they had to live with it. But
was Minlong the surviving camp the surviving the camp that sprung out of Long Bay?
No, Minlong was not. The camp that came from Long Bay went over to Hill 502, which I believe was somewhere very close to Tom Nook.
I don't think so. It was up north. It was way up north.
I thought it went to Mylock, A101.
It went to Mylock after it went briefly to
Mylock. That sounds right. It was. I thought it was east of Quezon.
Yeah, Mylock was up north, but for that temporary period between Lang Bay and Mylock, they were at a place called Hill 52, which is best I can locate is virtually half a mile away from one of the camps. I thought it was
Long Duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And they were just there for a short period of time, and then they moved up to Mylock. Ultimately, the camp at Mylock was closed, and the troops were sent to Haughton.
Okay.
Couple of you guys are on mute. I don't know if you knew that or not. Michael Stahl, Larry Snyder, and Brett Imblin.
Yeah, I put Michael on mute because his dog.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
But you know how to unmute yourself, and Wally hasn't got anything to say. I don't know why. He's a quiet guy.
Steve, I've got to leave. I've got a flat tire. My wife's got to go get replaced at Costco. So great talking to you guys and listen to the stories. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
Well, you all got each other's email addresses in the letters I sent you. And Tom, you were at A108, at which by mistake I put it in this time frame. I will have another special meeting for A108 as soon as I get the video from this morning processed. So I'll let you know. But everybody else, you got emails for the rest of the people on your team, whether they showed up here or not, on the email I sent to you to tell you come to this meeting. And there's nothing preventing you from contacting them directly, running your own Zoom session or doing whatever. So Dave, welcome again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wally, we haven't heard anything from you, but now you got
Yes,
the microphone under control. Tell us a little about your visit, your all expense paid vacation to Southeast Asia.
Well, there's no one here from when I was there. I was at 10 Phuoc, and of course in '69. when Denny got wounded and I was sent out to replace Denny. And then that was, I don't remember, end of February, early March. And then I was there till I rotated out in October. I went to the C team then when I extended my tour. But I was surprised about Buddy, because what I heard from O'Neill was the motorcycle accident. So I didn't realize it was something else. I need to get hold of O'Neill.
Yeah, he wanted to be a cop when he came
got
back.
his information.
When he came back
Hey,
from
Wally.
Vietnam, he
Yeah.
wanted to be a
Wally.
cop.
Yeah.
But he,
Wally,
I
were
guess he,
you there in February of '69?
I came right after that. That was like I said, Denny and I forget one other sergeant. They were wounded very badly. I was working at the C team at the time, and I was sent out to replace Denny. Huh?
Was it Amabisca?
I'm sorry, say again.
Joe Amabisca?
No, it might have been. I didn't know him, to be honest. So I can't remember his name. Denny and I were friends, and we've had kept in touch.
Because I was there.
They got hit.
Larry, you were the XO
Yeah,
replaced Wally Burns, and Wally went up to be CO.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
but well, I was CO for a short time when Kleckner got wounded.
Right, but Larry replaced you.
Then I went back to XO. Oh, okay. But no, Denny and the other sergeant, I can't remember. They got hit with rockets right out.
Oh, that was Cashin.
So
Cashin got hit going. They
was-
were
oh,
going
that's
out the gate,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I was a medic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right out. They were at the river when they got hit. My understanding.
I don't remember you.
Kleckner told me about it.
I had to be there at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You had
I was
to
the
be, but I
radio
don't-
guy there.
But there were some medics that left. Wait a minute. Who's this now?
Dave Clancer.
Who's the radio guy?
I was the radio operator.
The two radio guys. I remember the two radio guys. I remember, and I can't remember names. Honest to God. But I went out. Okay, whatever. But yeah, they got hit right outside the wire, and that's when they came in. I think the next day they asked me to go out there and join them. But like I said, I need to check with O'Neill. I mean, I think you guys that were there, well, you wouldn't have known O'Neill, but anybody was after that. I think O'Neill was there. He told me he closed the camp down, so he had extended, and he said he was part of the transition team that closed it down. He was a medic.
O'Neill and Fox were the two that got the Legion of Merit.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is there no record of that on the internet? I mean, you can see that Eisenhower got the Legion of Merit, but those two guys are never mentioned.
Well, that's because he's been.
he sawed that woman's leg off with a hacksaw I was using to build a bar down in the alternate commo bunker. We were drinking our beers up on top of the talk underneath that thatched roof where the breeze is, the high point, had the old light on, the circular fan, and a round came through and hit that fan, probably one of the CIDG harassing us. So the old man says, Captain Cummings says, probably not a good idea for us to be up here as a center of mass, a target in the high point in the camp. Archer, can you build me a bar down the alternate commo bunkers? I was working down there building a bar. They didn't have a carpenter saw, thank God. They had a hacksaw. The blade looked like it was left over from the Korean War. He's all, rusted up and everything. And I was working on that. It was about 2300. Fox came to see me. He says, "Hey, Trung Huy, where's that saw you were using?" I said, "Why?" "Well, we may have to take a woman's leg off." So I dragged it out. I said, "This is a nasty old thing." He said, "Well, that'll do." And they worked on her for about 4 or 5 hours, all during the night, and did a beautiful job, of course. And they couldn't dust her off for about 4 or 5 days, as I recall, because of the weather. Finally, she went back to the rear, And the full colonel surgeon back there went ape. He looked at the wound and said, my God, he wanted to commend the lieutenant colonel that had done the surgery. What medical school did you go to and all that? I said, no, sir, you don't understand. These are two buck sergeants, two Green Beret buck sergeants that did as medics. And you don't want to ever go out there. It's not a good place for you to go at 10 foot. So colonels they're pretty, especially surgeons over there, they're pretty busy people during that period of time. But he never laid eyes on these two individuals, and he wrote a letter of commendation for both of them, which is really unusual. And that came through, and then Cummings said, let's put him in for a medal. So he went through the book, and you're going down reading the different things on the book. Well, it was a non-combat award because she was civilian. So they started the Legion of Merit. Knew he wouldn't get that. Read it again. Read it a third time. I'll be son of a gun if he doesn't qualify for this. So we wrote him up, attached that colonel's letter of recommendation, which is very important to it, sent it in, and then shortly after that, I got transferred to the Mike Force. And so I sort of lost contact with the guys, but I've been in and out of the field, and they're having a big award ceremony, and I look over and there's Neil and Fox, they're all GI'd. The sergeant major down in the 5th group, the orders came through. He went over and grabbed those two guys and walked them over to the barber shop and gave them a GI haircut, gave them brand new fatigues, everything all sewed on just right and starched up, spit shine jungle boots, put it on an aircraft, escorted them back to Da Nang where the award was going to be given. They're both getting out of the Army. I mean, their boots were white. There wasn't any polish on there at all. Getting out of the Army, and got up there, and he got him a room, in those little rooms they had there. Said, this is your room. You stay in this room. I'll get you a bottle of booze, whatever you want. You want a woman? I'll get you a woman, whatever you want, but do not get in trouble, because tomorrow morning I can't remember who was there that gave that award, but so they stayed out of trouble. I can remember going to the mess hall, looking up at the head table, hardly even recognized both of them. They're both up there all spit shine and looking like soldiers. But I was proud to be there when they received that medal. It was very deserving. But what we had to do is we had to destroy the photos that were taken during the operation, because they were smoking cigarettes, or I forget who was the smoker then. They were smoking cigarettes and drinking Schlitz beer, and drinking and having a drink and doing a little saw here and there. And so we had to destroy all those photos, because that would not have been good had they gotten out. But well deserving for both of those. I'm so proud to have been there and part of all that.
The lieutenant colonel who wrote that letter was Dale Shaw at the 95th evac. He's now deceased.
Oh my. I mean, that was pretty damn nice of him to do that.
He was a wonderful gentleman. I had a big scar on my forehead, and he did plastic surgery on me, and you couldn't see it anymore. He was a wonderful man.
No, it's just fantastic that he took the time and the effort to do that to two total strangers that he never laid eyes on.
Well, we have a new guest here that hasn't said a word and hasn't turned his camera on, or he's got his camera covered.
Okay, there, Norman, we're waiting for you.
Is my camera covered?
No, unless you're in a dark room with no lights.
No, it's one of these. I didn't know. It don't say which. Let me see.
He doesn't have a camera on that.
We're just telling that story about that leg you amputated over there.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm trying to get this.
I think your camera's on, because usually if you have no camera, it's a red camera in the participant box.
It's a red, yeah, okay. Flip that over there for me.
What I would suspect is you've got a piece of cloth with some shutter on your camera.
No, I ain't got, no, that's not true. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Oh, while I got you guys, what else, have y'all, does anybody know where John McLeod is?
No?
No, I think I saw a picture of him years and years ago working with the DEA as some kind of deputy something or other.
Oh, yeah.
Because-
Who told me he had a different name?
Yeah, I think he changed his name. I think his name was John McLeod, but it was Jon, right? So, I mean,
Okay.
all of a sudden I see this guy on TV and his name's John Thomas and he's a DEA guy.
Hey, you're on
So,
there now, Neil. We see you.
so I think he changed his name because his college deal was he spoke different languages and one of them was Spanish and that, and it was South American studies, and he was some kind of DEA guy with drugs down in South America. So
Well,
I think, he just changed everything.
I'm
He was
pretty
like,
sure he's
like
living.
witness protection in a way,
So nobody knows if he's
I'm
alive or dead
I'm
or
pretty sure
what.
he lives in Franklin, Tennessee.
Does
And
he?
I asked Tilt Meyer when he gets a chance to go over the address I have because he doesn't answer the phone. So
Huh.
Tilt's a pretty busy guy these days, so he hasn't got around to it. But
I gotta say congratulations to Norman C. Cliff Neal for entering the technology age.
Yes,
It's been
sir.
3 days
One
trying to
week,
get
you're
him
1
on
week
there.
behind me. I learned how to do that a week ago.
It's been 3 days trying to get him on here.
well,
It was, only because of you, Phil, only because of you.
here's a note that Tony is showing up here.
Sergeant Norman C. Neal.
That was
And
me.
I think I've got Larry Moore and so on. They're all in a dermatology book from A102. And I seem to recall talking to Neil in Da Nang that he got his ass hauled up there to get his medal pinned on him because he was processing out. He was just going to go home and told them to mail it to him.
Norman, you promised me several times over the years you're going to send me a copy of the orders.
I am, Steve. I've got them. I tell you, my mother passed away and she had a house in West Point, Georgia. And my wife found those things and I got to write. It's about 30 minutes. I go up there. I just got to make you a copy of it, but I will.
Barry, when you talked about the Sergeant Major, you're not talking about Ron Bowser, are you?
I don't know who that
No.
Sergeant Major was.
I
can't
knew
remember.
Bowser.
Yeah, but who?
I replaced him on the
what his
Mike
name
Force.
Who was the Sergeant Major that brought Norman back to Da Nang?
Who's that guy? What Sergeant Major brought you up there to Da Nang, Cliff? Do you remember?
I don't.
And
I
gave you that
don't
room and
remember that.
told you to stay out of trouble. He get you a woman, a bottle.
Yeah, that's right.
Bowser was not going to do that. He wasn't Preacher Hodge, but he was not going to do that.
Well, he told Frank and me both. He said, if I come down to this room the next morning and you guys are not cleaned up, said you have no idea what I do to you. So we believed him. I don't know.
Was that the group, Sergeant Major?
I tell you the truth. I don't know. We didn't even know Frank, and we didn't even know what that medal was. We never even heard of it. I mean, we didn't know anything. We just went up to the lady, they wouldn't bring a helicopter in to get her. They said the weather was bad and she was really in bad shape. So we decided we'd just try to do something. And that's what happened. We did it. But I didn't know that guy. I can't remember his name.
Well, Ron Bowser was probably the straightest Sergeant Major in the Army. And when Abrams finally decided that the scandals of the sergeant majors were gone. When he got a new sergeant major, he got Ron Bowser. And Bob Sorley says that's an indication that he really did like special forces. And I disagree with him on that point. He just got a good sergeant major. There was no empathy to special forces on the part of General Abrams.
Yeah.
So you're Cliff, you are into high tech, right? So you saw legs off with a hacksaw, and you're just learning how to come on to Zoom.
There you go. That's it. Yeah, I was really, is Lynn Cummings on here?
No,
No,
he's not on there.
Okay.
You know, Frank had been to Army Stool School as a medic. I don't know if you knew that. That's sort of a little bit of information I thought I'd throw out there. I was starting to get really sick over there. Had maybe dysentery, get worse and worse. I hadn't been over Vietnam that long. And they kept saying, either Cliff or Frank said, just bring a sample down, Trung Nguyen. I might have been a Tiwi at that time. Well, I was sort of embarrassed, you know, when I bring a little sample down there, walk all the way down there. So I delayed it, and I was getting worse and worse. And, you know, every other hour heading to the train. And finally I said, that's it. I don't give a crap. And I'm beyond being embarrassed. So I took these little paper plates. I did a little messy mess in a paper plate, real nasty. And I put a lid over top of it. And carefully I walked it down that hill down to the dispensary without spilling anything. And of course, you know, they're both in the little hospital there. And they had to make a big deal about it, like they're going to embarrass me. I was beyond embarrassment at that time. They took the lid off and, oh God, that snake. Oh man, you know, just had this work the lieutenant over, you know, so I didn't care. But old Frank, he had been to Army Stool School. He took a sample and did that little machine that spins it around, did all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And put on a slide, you know, he got a medical book down there and turned to the page and shows a picture of what the slide would look like. It says, look in here, Trung Nguyen. And I looked through there and sure enough, it was the same thing. So they gave me the pills and all that knocked that thing in the bud. I didn't even know they had a stool school out there in the Army.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to diagnose that stuff. You just put some dye in there and spin it down in that centrifuge and look at it, and you got a book, whatever kind of eggs you see, that's what you got.
Yeah.
What have you done for a living, Cliff?
I worked in the railroad business. Norfolk Southern Railway for 35 years.
Never got into medicine at all.
No, that's inside. I don't like inside. I worked for the railroad, Norfolk Southern, 35 years. By the way, do you guys all know it? Captain Kleckner's dead.
Yeah. Everybody knows that.
I guess everybody does.
We know.
Yeah, we all, John Kleckner died, what, a couple of years ago? I can't remember, 3 years
Yeah.
ago? When was that?
Well, I'm gonna give you a little. I'll give you a little insight in it. He came. You know, I actually live about 20 minutes from an infantry museum at Fort Benning, and that's where they induct people into the OCS Hall of Fame. So he came down and stayed with me, and went, and they put him in when they put him in the OCS Hall of Fame. And then later on, there was some guy, and I forget his name. Some of you may know him, I don't know. Anyway, he was with Kleckner over there in Vietnam, and he got the Distinguished Service Cross. But he got his wife. His wife was pregnant when he left for Vietnam. He got killed and got the Distinguished Service Cross. So they decided that they would put him in the OCS Hall of Fame. He was a lieutenant. So he didn't have any family supposedly. So John's and he flew back to Columbus, Georgia to accept the award. Well, after he got here, they found out that this guy had a son, and so he told John to go ahead and accept the award. But he's the only person that could ever tell. John was able to tell him about his dad, and he knew nobody else that really knew his dad. So that was pretty. And then John, that was like on a Monday, and then he, I think it was a Monday they put him in. And then he went back home the next Thursday, and he died from lung cancer.
Oh, man.
Well,
Now,
I've got a Kleckner story for you. When I was in training at Bragg for forces, I had this one captain that was in charge, and then I go over to Vietnam, and I got the same captain, Kleckner. He gave me my first Article 15 for drinking in the barracks at Bragg. We get to Vietnam, and I'm over there like, well, after I think it was Rittmuller or something was my CO when I got to A102. And like a month and a half later, Kleckner comes, and I go, "Don't I know you?"
I've never heard that story. Kind of surprised he'd have gave you Article 15.
Well, in fact, once I got over there, he should have had like 15 of them from going back to every time he went back to Da Nang, he'd get in trouble.
Hey, Dave,
Oh,
when
yeah,
did you go through training group?
What's that?
Dave, when did you go through training group?
68.
I was in class 668 Commo. Is that
I was in
about the
Commo.
time you went in?
Yeah, I was with Owens and I'm trying to think, Maurer and a bunch of other guys.
Yeah, Kleckner was he was part of the cadre or the
Right.
staff there when I went through.
Yeah, I'm trying. I can't remember when I exactly started. Probably was in mid 68 or something like that.
I've got a roster of my class. I'll have to look up and see if you were in it, if you're in the same class.
Is there any way to look those up on the internet?
Well, I was in with Bargewell.
I don't remember any of that.
Guy that became the general, Elton Bargewell.
Bargewell was a 1-0 of our team Michigan in CCN. I took over Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I met him a couple
he
of
went through
times.
training. He went through training, then went to CCN when he got to Nam.
Yeah. Yeah, he was an E5 when he was running CCN for a while.
He's a hell of a nice guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was really glad, felt fortunate to get to meet him before he died.
Cliff, you don't remember the lieutenant's name that had the son? I'm not seeing him over here. And everybody I see that was the lieutenant who got a posthumous DSC has a know them. And if I had the name, I could probably add to what his knowledge is of his father. So if you happen to think of that guy's name, let me know.
Which one is that?
The lieutenant,
Again,
OCS Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the one that got put in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I can actually find out because I know people that go out there, and I can probably look back and get about the time he was put in. I might could find out his name.
None of them that I see here were around Kleckner at all. Maybe it was just a connection to the SF that put them two together. But everybody else, like Norm Baldwin, for example, this guy was a fantastic cartoonist. And, you know, they didn't put that in the Hall of Fame, but his son probably would like to know about it. I had a copy of a manuscript that they put together. Bertram was also a DSC, and he's got a wife and a sister that are pestering the hell out of everybody for 50 years. So, you know, all these people have somebody that can tell them about their father. So I don't know who's left out. If they are, I'd like to help out. So if you hit me a name, let me know.
Well, the guy, I don't know. All I know is I went out there to the ceremony and Kleckner accepted the award for him. And his son was there. And of course, I, you know, talked to his son. We went to that big, they always have a big dinner after it, you know, and all kind of, you know, pretty fancy thing.
The same year that Kleckner got his award, that lieutenant got the
got,
award too.
Kleckner Kleckner's in the OCS Hall of Fame.
And this lieutenant got in the Hall of Fame.
And later, a couple of years after Kleckner got in there.
Years later.
This lieutenant got in there, and for some reason or another, Kleckner called me and said there wasn't nobody to accept the award. So he flew out here and went down but right there a day or two before they found out this guy had a son. Well, he came too, but he told John to go ahead and accept the award, which he did. And so I don't know the guy's name. I forgot his name, but he was a lieutenant that John Kleckner knew very well. He got killed in Vietnam and got the DSC.
Well, there are a couple of them here, so if you got a name, let me know. Bob Keller?
Okay, I'll try to get it.
We haven't heard all that much from you yet.
Bob, you're on mute. You got to unmute yourself. Bob, you're on mute. You unmute yourself on your computer, Bob. Unmute yourself.
Down in the bottom left-hand corner.
There you go. There you go.
That should do it. Is that it? And
Ivan, you're on mute also.
Yeah, well, what Barry said and what Neil said about the lady with the leg got cut off, that's true. That's what happened. And Phuoc got pulled off the Freedom Bird and brought up to Da Nang. He was not a happy camper. And Barry and I, and I think that guy's name was Hubbard. He was a captain. We all were eating lunch together and making fun of Phuoc because he was supposed to have been home at that time. And he was not a happy camper at all. He did not like that. He didn't like the Army in the first place. And he liked it less when he got pulled off the bird. And he later became an ophthalmologist. And I talked to him several times. He was in California. They moved back to Idaho and he died early. He died like in 94 or some 93, 94 or something like that. Don't know what happened to him. I really don't know. But he's been gone for quite a while.
He's a very brilliant young guy when he was there. He's a smart man.
Oh yeah.
Neil, do you remember O'Donnell? That was at 102 medic.
Let's see, O'Donnell, he come before Cashin was what? No, not yeah, wasn't Cashin a medic too?
Yeah, Cashin was a medic, but O'Donnell came. I forget who he replaced, but he might have replaced Cashin when Cashin got hit.
So I thought Cashin. I thought Cashin was. I thought McLeod was Cashin's junior medic.
Right, they were both together, but Cashin had like a year and a half there, and then he got hit with Drury, I think. They both got hit at the same
Denny
time.
Drury, that's right.
Yeah, they got hit the same time they were leaving camp on a patrol, and they got hit by mortar shrapnel and that. But O'Donnell replaced, I think he replaced Cashin. And he ended up being a doctor in Chicago.
Okay, well, when I got there,
O'Donnell-
McLeod was senior
he
medic.
and I shared the same bunker.
O'Donnell was senior medic? Then?
When I got there, McLeod was a senior medic.
Oh, okay.
And I took over when he left. And then Fox
Yeah.
came.
O'Donnell left. O'Donnell left before you got there, Neil. And
Yeah,
he did.
O'Donnell and
That's
I
right.
shared that bunker right in front of the TOC.
Yeah, me and O'Donnell left together. We got malaria and left in, I think, end of April or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Anybody know
Well-
Russell Woods?
Who?
Russell Woods. He was another medic. Wood.
No.
He had,
He wasn't there then.
he had two tours there. First time Woods, plural, from September 66 to March of 67. And then back in April of 68 to August of 68. Yeah, he's not on the internet, but he happens to live in the same town in Oklahoma that my granddaughter lives in. So when I couldn't get him to answer the phone, I had to go over there and pound on the door. He finally called me back, but he's not into internet at all. I thought maybe somebody might have known him. They'd call him up and harass him.
Now Cooper was there for a long time. He was
Cooper was on the phone with us here a little while ago.
Was he?
Another meeting, but he and Ivan, shared the love of their keyboards or something, because they both brought back the keys from Vietnam.
Yeah, didn't Cooper end up getting lost out there? His team got shot up and he ended up out for like a week or so.
Doesn't ring a bell with me.
Yeah, that's what I had heard.
We're talking Lawrence Cooper?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what I heard
may have been with
when I
that.
got there. I replaced him. And they had
When I
said
was
that
there- when I got there in July of 67, there was a patrol. Huey Eckhart was the XO who I replaced, and he was MIA at the time. And Cooper may have been with him, but and it was about 3 or 4 days that they were out there in the woods or in the jungle, but they did come back. They found them and they were repatriated, and then they. Like I said, Cooper went back, but came back to the camp. Eckhart left and went back to the C team.
Oh, okay.
Well, I know Cooper come down with malaria. They shipped him home, and then when he got, then they brought him back, and he went back to 10 Phuoc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that was probably pretty much later though.
Yeah. Because we had Lieutenant Peoples from 10 Phuoc come out to Hatan when we were getting hit, and he got killed there. And I called Lawrence on the radio and told him what happened, because he and Peoples were real close friends.
Yeah, it was right before I got there, I think. It was like October, September or something.
Yeah,
68.
he got killed in July timeframe of 68.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went through a lot of changes from January through March of 69.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember that long-tailed animal with a striped tail, and he looked something like a lemur, but they only come from Madagascar, and he lived up on top of the TOC and could climb those steel beams that went up to the thatched roof?
No.
He wasn't there when I was there.
No, wasn't there when I got there either.
But they did have an animal like that in the C team though. when I was in the Mike Force, because I got a picture of him crawling up on my back, you know, sniffing my head. So it might have been the same one. Maybe they decided to send him on into the C team.
Very, very similar to a lemur, but they say the lemurs only exist in Madagascar. Did anybody see an animal called a saulo there?
What?
Don't remember that.
It was a big
No.
antelope, first photographed in the wild in 1976, a very rare animal called a saulo.
The,
No.
the animal you're talking about, was that a pangolin?
No. Pangolin is like that scaly anteater sort of thing.
See,
But this saulo was a big, one of the biggest mammals discovered by mankind in the 20th century.
all I remember is shooting rats off of the bamboo. We used to, at night, we'd sit there with a 45 and shoot rats off those bamboo poles.
I used to shoot them in my bunker with a 38.
We go in the where the rice was kept at Quonset hut. And
Yeah,
every night, there are about 4 of us that participated. You know, it was boring there at night, nothing else to do. So we go down there and unlock the Quonset hut, then go back to the team house, have a beer, you know, build up our spirits. And then we go back there, about 4 of us, like I say, and we'd run in. And if you recall, there was chicken wire corridor going down both sides, and then they had individual bays made out of chicken wire with the rice stacked in there. And the last person in would hit the switch and turn the lights on. And Phuoc was actually on the one of the killer assault teams with me on that. And he was right in front of me. We're running in, and everybody had their own personal weapon. I think I had I don't know if it was a canoe paddle or a piece of wood or something like that. And we turned the light, and the rat was running up the side of the chicken wire to the right as we were running. So one of us swung and missed the rat, but hit the chicken wire and made like a trampoline. He jumped up in the air and went right down Fox's shirt. Fortunately, he didn't have it tucked into his pants, you know, and went right down and scrambled down his shirt and came out. And the dog, I don't know if you remember that dog, Biscuit.
Yeah.
Biscuit always went with us also. And that was, she would, if at last resort, Biscuit going in, grab him by the neck and kill him. Then we lay out the body count. We get a body count every night. There are a lot of rats in that Quonset hut.
oh man, there was there.
They ate a hole through the bottom of the plywood, the floor, and came up that way. I mean, they were having a field day in there.
You remember when they got, we got a whole bunch of bulgur in the one time, and we couldn't give it away. The Vietnamese wouldn't eat it. We were trying to give them instructions on how to fix it and everything, and they didn't want that shit. So we tear open the bags, and then we had one of the gals in town make shirts for us. So we had bulgur shirts that we kept. But the first time we washed them, all the shit came out of them. It didn't say bulgur anymore, and they were worthless.
You were style setters.
Yes.
Dave.
And there was all kinds of things to do, you know, extra little stupid things, right?
Oh, yeah.
But drinking was good.
You know, they had that weather balloon they'd put up. They try to put it up every day. You know, I think there are 4 guys on that team. Their job was to launch that weather balloon so they could get the readings from it for their artillery pieces. You know, I never saw it launch completely. It'd go up there and finally you hear a crack, crack from the CIDG, and down that balloon would come. They get so mad, you know, the weather guys, they complain to our A-team, to Captain Cummings. He says, I can't do anything about it. I don't want them to shoot it down either. I need that information. It'll help us out when we're in the field. So finally, the weather balloon guys, their hooch wasn't too far away from where from the talk, you know, was. They got a bunch of gravel, and you take a shower, they throw the gravel up against that little shower, you know, with the metal walls and all the corrugated metal, and it scared the hell out of you. You know, you're taking a shower in there with that 55-gallon drum on top there, and that thing would hit you and scare the hell out of you. So we go down there. No, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. Next day, same thing had happened. So about the third day, we just threw a bunch of CS down in their little bunker, and it stopped.
Well, you know, that shit house that was on top there next to the talk,
Yeah.
I always worried about losing my ass there. I always worried, you know, my family's gonna get this letter. I got shot in this shit house on top of the hill.
That was a double seater, wasn't it?
No, that was a four-seater.
A four-seater,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
had
that was-
a snake that lived down in there too. He'd come
Yeah.
out every once in a while.
Yeah, I killed that snake.
Oh man.
I was going in there one Monday. After we got all that medicine for the for malaria. It gives you the shits, right? So I'm in there, unbuttoning my pants, and here comes this green viper crawled right out of the hole I was going to sit on. Holy crap! You know, I shot him to death. He never lived there again. I'll tell you that. And another shithole story about that. We got mortared one time, and Neil and Rice were in the shitter, and one of those mortar rounds landed right behind the shit house, and those two come running out of there, trying to run with their pants down around their ankles. They didn't run very far, I'll tell you that. And I think Neil fell down, and the last thing I saw of Rice's bare ass was going down one of that communication trench. It's really funny. I don't think Neil thought that was too funny. Did you, Norm?
Yeah. No, they did that mortar round. It sprayed that thing with shrapnel. We came out of there. Yeah.
When did they get rid of that artillery that you had in the camp?
They didn't.
No, it stayed the whole time?
I mean,
Americal.
Yeah, I think I was about the last one out of there, and it was still there. They said they turned it over to the South Vietnamese Rangers, whatever that is. But
They had 4 tubes of Marine artillery in the camp when I was there in '67, and I don't know how long they stayed, but is that the artillery you're talking about?
No, there's American.
Americal had artillery
Yeah.
there. They had 155s and 8 inches.
They had the Americal had a battery, a 155. They had 5 of them in there, I think.
Yeah.
And
They had
you
8
know,
inches. They had 8 inches also.
I ran into a guy in Jamestown, New York. He was a customer of mine, and we started talking one day. Turns out he was one of those 155 guys at Phuoc. He knew everything about it. He had been there about the same time I was.
They had some 175 inch millimeter cannons also. Not inside
they brought those in later then.
Yeah, not inside the camp, but just outside the camp.
Yeah, they were down at the end of the runway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
175 8-inch battery.
They put a 155 battery in there, Michael Stahl, when we were there for just an operation or something. It was 101st though.
101st, absolutely. I can remember they put 155 outside right next to the team house, and they did a damn fire mission, and that was that would wake you up. It was taking the nails out of the roof, the tin roof of the team house.
Yeah. Well, every time they had a fire mission, they knocked the tin off of the place, the building that they were still storing the rice in at that time. It wouldn't stay on there. It fell right off.
Yeah, well, I was working under Lieutenant Scally as S5, so I know that warehouse well. And Bill, you remember we had that typhoon come through when 101st was there. We had a thatched roof on the top then, but the typhoon took it out.
Yeah.
101st had a bunch of fuel bladders down by the runway. The river overflowed and took all the fuel bladders out to the South Pacific, and that's when we lost access to the bridge.
Right. I remember that.
Well, they brought in 2 replacement guns for the 155s when I was there, and they brought in one of those flying cranes, and that almost took the whole damn camp down. Them things really bring up some storm.
Yeah.
Hey, Stephen?
Yeah.
Stephen, I gotta take off, but I've been enjoying this. I want to say hello to Neil. I will never, ever forget Neil. He's the only one I know who could take 5 minutes to call for artillery. I know I've got a New York accent, but he's got his own version.
Yeah.
I remember Wally Burns
Or Alabama.
I'll be there. Yeah.
and Cummins, but I got to take off. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Nice seeing you, Larry.
You guys take care.
Bye, Larry.
See ya.
I'm going to have to take off also. I sure do appreciate the opportunity to talk to some of you guys. You're mainly after my time, but that was interesting. Very interesting.
Wally.
Stay in touch.
Wally.
I probably should have said this earlier before people started checking out, but most of you, I think, already have the Green Beret magazines from Vietnam. If you don't, you probably should. It's kind of the yearbook of your time over there, whether you were at the camp when things happened or it was different. What you did has got pictures in here. And a couple of you I know have already got them, so you might tell the others about it.
Yeah, they are real nice. Wally, what year did they put John in the Hall of Fame?
Wally's on mute. Wally has to unmute himself.
Now it's Neil Cliff talking.
All right, he's on there.
Did you unmute Jeff Wally?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Okay. What year did they put John
Hadn't
Kleckner
seen
in the
you
Hall?
since Brad. I'm
Say again,
gonna
Cliff. Say it again,
I
Cliff.
think it was when they put John Kleckner into the SF Hall of Fame, and I'm going to guess, Cliff, that we were there. Oh golly, I'm going to say around 2010. You think?
I think so. Yeah. Yes, that was I was thinking about that too. I think that might be. I was Wally and Denny and myself and a couple other guys went to the ceremonies, and I'm gonna say this: I've never been as impressed with the young men in the SF. We met a lot of them. Matter of fact, they were graduating the 256 class that day, I think they said. But my son rode up there with me. He was having some issues at the time, didn't have a job, didn't have anything to do. And we riding back, we were going across North Carolina. He didn't never talk a lot anyway. And all of a sudden he said, Dad, he said, said, I had never experienced nothing like you fellas did. And he said, I've been listening to all them fellas talking about that stuff. And he said, I don't even understand a whole lot about it. He said, but I tell you one thing. He said, them and their wives both still fighting them North Vietnamese.
You heard a lot of stories, huh?
Hey, well, didn't John Kleckner retire to Northern California out of Redding or something like that?
Yeah.
He passed
Yeah, he
away a
did a
few-
lot. He was doing a lot with veterans groups and stuff like that.
Didn't he pass away a few years ago?
Yeah, but 2. So
2019.
we kept in touch for a bunch of years, like about 5 or 6 of us. And then all of a sudden he had something happen with his email. And then, nobody could get a hold of him. And then all of a sudden he died. So
Yeah, well, we had the SFA conference up in Portland, I think in 14 or 15, and he brought a few people up from Northern California.
Well,
Well, yeah,
Mike
he did.
Nels. Go
he
ahead.
did a lot with that.
Oh yeah, that veteran cemetery he helped build out there. He probably the main reason it got built. It's beautiful. Mike Nelson met me and my wife in Sacramento, and we rented a car and went up to the funeral, and they buried him there at that veteran cemetery. And I'll tell you, it really is. It's really a beautiful place, real nice facility. And that was one of his things he did. He did a lot other stuff, you know, for the VA and all. I mean, for veterans and all. He worked pretty hard for that cause.
Yeah, I
Cliff,
think he
tell us
got some
about
kind of, didn't you get a degree or something? I think he got some kind of law degree to work on that stuff.
He got a degree in agriculture. I don't know what that had to do with it.
No, after a while, I think he got some kind of, you know, thing like what you do to go to court and that, some extra degree.
Hey, Cliff, tell us that story. Tell us that story about that severed femoral artery of Kleckner's out in the bush when you guys were out in the bush together. Tell us that story. When that B-40 hit that tree and that shrapnel.
Yes, it was. No, it was it was a pagoda. Wally's been seeing that pagoda. It was in that village there right outside of camp. I guess it's a thing where those Buddhists get up in there and pray or something. I don't know.
Right.
But we stopped there and I laid down. It had a little kind of a stone thing in front of it, you know, walk. And I laid down and he laid down. We was taking a break and he had his leg cocked up and they shot something. I don't know what it was. If something hit that pagoda and, you know, it just blew back. It was just a big haze, is all I know. And I looked over and the blood was just shooting straight up in the air out of his leg, cut his femoral artery. And we wasn't far out of camp. Wally, you know about how far it was right across the river, wasn't it?
I got a picture of that thing.
It was right.
Yeah, not far.
It was right across the river. The village, they had guns coming to the village, and y'all were going out to clear it. I didn't even know y'all were out. I was on another operation on the other side of the camp, and then got the call to return because Kleckner had been wounded. And I thought, son of a bitch, what's he doing outside the camp? It was kind of an impromptu thing to go out there, I think.
Tell us what happened, Cliff.
Well, I mean, we stopped that, and you know, the CIDG, they formed a perimeter around a little village, and we were just all of a sudden somebody slipped in there. And I don't know if they shot it didn't have to, maybe a B-40 rocket or something hit the side of that pagoda, and the blood was just shooting out. I mean, it was just really bad, and it just so happened that I had a lot of blood expanders, and I got the blood. I got it stopped, and I gave him 2 or 3 IVs and had a lot of, you know, blood expander going into him. And I think Eugene Mitchell and maybe Boyd came down, or I don't know who, I forget who, and medevaced him. I never did know what, I thought he died. I wouldn't give you, I would have said he was dead. And then 30 years later, Steve called and was asking me some questions and told me he was alive. I couldn't believe it, you know, but he said he got a femoral artery transplant at Walter Reed. Said he's the first person to ever receive a femoral artery transplant at Walter Reed, what he said.
Wow.
And but he
had bad luck that way though, didn't he? I think he got hit about 4 or 5 times.
He could have. You know, I really don't know. I really don't know. I can't really remember exactly what we were doing, what they was doing, because when he got wounded, I was trying to do something for him. And so I really couldn't tell you what else took place. But it messed him up, I'll tell you that.
Didn't he tell you the doctor talked to him when he got back to the hospital? And am I still on?
Yeah.
I just got, okay.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay. The doctor talked to him and said, you're the 28th type of wound like this I've seen, and the other 27 died.
Yeah.
So he's a lucky man.
That's what he said. He did say that. And but I'll tell you,
Did he retire as a major or something?
Yeah.
major.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I asked when I talked to Steve. I said, well, you know anything about this Captain Kleckner? He said, let me look. And he said, well, it's Major Kleckner. He lives in Redding, California. Sure enough, that was him.
You were surprised, huh?
I think
I was really happy to hear that.
I think he ended up retiring because of all the different wounds he had over the years. I think it was a medical when he finally retired.
It was. He was as a medical.
Yeah, it was. He got a medical, discharge or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how many years he stayed in, but
it was over 20.
Yeah.
I put on a map here. This is showing where I think Phuoc was. And I don't know, was this an airstrip over here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that pretty good as far as the location is concerned?
It's right on the bend of the
Yep.
river.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good, okay.
I thought this airstrip was on the other side of the river or the camp.
No,
No,
no.
I don't
On
remember.
the northeast side.
Yeah, I just remember when we.
The airstrip was
Yeah.
on the same side.
I just remember when we had to get stuff. Go ahead.
The airstrip was, and the camp was on the same side of the river.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway, this map is available on my website with just on the bottom of the list of people on the team. You'll see link to the map. Blow it up and print it out or do whatever, but it's, if the whole thing at 100% is tabloid size, 2 newspaper pages or whatever. So it's, you can go pretty far with a map.
Boy, have you seen the pictures of Phuoc now? Pretty nice little city.
Is it?
Oh yeah, unbelievable. I mean, you got to give it to the Vietnamese, communist Vietnamese. They've done a good job in that country, building highways, and they want the tourists to go in there, and they're getting them too. You remember going out to Entree Island, that island we had to train on. We first got to Vietnam. Now from the train, you can get on a cable car and go across to Entree. They've got a couple of 5-star hotels over there. There's a zoo over there. There's
always a zoo over there.
Oh, was there? There's golf courses. It's a beautiful place now.
Did anybody see any of the ancient highways in the northern part of Vietnam? Near My Loc, there were places where people had made, probably hundreds, perhaps thousands of years old, major highways through the jungles, but trees were growing in it and everything.
Huh.
I heard Lawrence Cooper talking about when he was 20. I was 19. The last day of my 19th year, the first day I was on the mic force. And I had mentioned to Steve the last time we talked about how Colonel Healy had dressed me down for not shaving because we had been in the field around My Loc until it was overrun. Anyway, I found a picture of that day if you're interested. I don't know if you can see me, but my interpreter used to joke that my beard was very much like Ho Chi Minh. Anyway, Colonel Healy really didn't like it.
I remember you in the Mike Force now that you showed me that picture. I do remember you.
God bless you guys. I'm so glad to see all of you people still alive.
Oh, I know. Barely.
Yeah.
Remember, you all have each other's email addresses in the email I sent you. There's nothing to prevent anybody here from signing up for a session in Zoom and calling everybody back for a meeting. I've got to run out and do all the camps in 3 Corps and all the camps in 4 Corps. So for the next 6 months or so, I'm going to be pretty tied up, maybe even longer than that.
Okay.
I'll tell you a little Colonel Healy story and Colonel Shackleton story. We were out in the Mike Force. Thong Duck was under siege for 2 or 3 months, and we were long operation. And Bob Cerniak and I were on the last one. It was a 3-week operation. We finally came in. We were just beat, worn out, but we captured a lot of ordnance out there in the field. You know, a lot of ran into cache site with B-40 rockets and Chi-Com claymores and all kinds of goodies. Well, you know, they get paid for all that. They got a list. You go down, they get so much for this, so much for that. So we just have to, you know, we got on CH-53s and they flew us back to Da Nang, and, you know, I processed the order and sent that in, and the money would go to the Dai Doi, the company commander, because that's the company that found it. And then they'd have a big party. So we're down, and I put in my order to test fire these things down at the beach, so that we, you know, if you came across this in the field, you would know how to utilize the ordnance, the weapons out there. So and they got approved. It was on a Sunday, as I recall, and we're out there having a good old time, you know, firing things out into the South China Sea and doing stuff. And Colonel Healy was up visiting Lieutenant Colonel Shackleton, and they had a couple of female companions spending the night with them there, you know, in their little guest house or whatever he had, where I wasn't familiar where he lived, but some little hooch over there in the C team. And all of a sudden on the PA system, I heard this, Lieutenant Archer, report to the headquarters immediately. So I don't know what the hell is going on. I jumped in my Jeep that was down there by the beach and started driving up through the pine trees, you know, up to the headquarters, the C team. And all of a sudden this Jeep's coming the other way. And I look, and it's Colonel Healy and Colonel Shackleton in the Jeep. And we stop, you know, together like that. And I look over at them. They both have their shorty pajamas on. They're in this Jeep with shorty pajamas and probably M16s in their hands. They said, "What the hell is going on?" They thought we were under attack. I said, "No, sir, we're just firing off some rounds down there. This was cleared by the S3 shop for training." They thought about it and sort of gave me a mean look. Said, "Well, then carry on," and went back to their girlfriends. You could get in trouble. You could get in trouble back at the C team. I can remember coming in from Phuoc one time, and mustache was, you know, out beyond you couldn't go beyond the corners of your lip. Couldn't go any further horizontally than the corner of your lip. And mine was on out there about like this. Not too bad. And it was my last day. I was supposed to get on the bird and head back to Phuoc, and I'm going down that little sidewalk heading towards the mess hall. And I look up, oh my God, it's Colonel Shackleton walking towards me on the sidewalk. Well, you know, you're going to pass each other. You can't avoid it. So I threw my sharpest salute up and told him, "Good morning, sir," and all that stuff. And he, good morning back to me. And then he stopped me and said, "Whoa, Lieutenant, come back here." "Yes, sir." "Have you read my my directive or memo, whatever we call it back then, on mustaches?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Read it and report back to me tomorrow morning." Well, my chopper was supposed to leave that day. So I went back to my room, got my room extended another day, and just shaved that sucker off completely. And the next morning had to spend an extra night there. Went back, got my shoes all shined up, boots shined up, went in there, reported him as, sir, Lieutenant Archer reporting as ordered, sir. He looked at me and there was a pause and I said, the mustache policy, sir. He said, oh, I see you've read it. Now get the hell out of here. Go back to 10th floor. I grew it back.
You're lucky you weren't there when Hodge was there.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Colonel Shackleton, he didn't drink. And we'd have those down that little veranda out there, we'd show the movies or have a little Vietnamese floor show or something like that. And he had his seat was right there in the front, in the middle. His staff was behind him further to the rear. And, you could drink, and he'd invite other services in there to enjoy themselves, relax a little bit. But you couldn't get rowdy. And some Navy guy he must have been drinking all afternoon. He was just wound up. He was, fuck this. And Shackle didn't like it at all. And his staff said, hey, you need to knock it off. You're going to get in trouble. And they warned him. He just kept on, fuck you. I'm not doing that. And finally, Shackleton got up, and everybody just got scared. They saw him get up. He grabs this guy in a headlock and drags him out behind, on the other side of that wall and beat the hell out of him and just left him in the sand and then came back and sat back down. Nobody bothered me.
Now, was it my perception or did you guys think that Colonel Shackleton had a personality defect? Or was it just me?
Oh, Shackleton got put in for a Purple Heart. It's an operation Phil and I run, Operation Hatchet Man. He put himself in for a Purple Heart and it's either a Silver Star or Distinguished Flying Cross or something.
Silver Star.
But anyway, Phil and I were both put in for the Silver Star. But then they came and got me afterwards and say, you both can't get the Silver Star. One of you, Lieutenant, just tell me what you do is more heroic than what Staff Sergeant Jack said. I said, kiss my ass. I'm not doing anything. So they downgraded us both. But later on, we found out, and Shackleton came in a good 5 hours after that operation. We had killed, I think, 21 and captured, I think, 9 prisoners. It was a real good operation. We overran a base camp. And, but, months later, I find out he got a Purple Heart. I'm going to say a Distinguished Flying Cross, which is unusual for an Army guy. Later on, the pilot, the door gunner said that he had seen Shackleton take a pin and scrub his arm with a pin until it bled, back and forth. And said that he burnt his arm on the machine gun barrel. And I don't know what he said for the Distinguished Flying Cross, because really Phil and I wouldn't even have had him come in had it been a hot LZ. It was just pretty calm by that time. Remember that, Phil? It was about 5 o'clock at night.
I remember.
And we were, we had prisoners and all kinds of stuff to get out. I think they brought in 2 choppers, as I recall. And then
yeah, he had his door gunners clearing the area, come in. He was at a hot LZ and he has machine guns firing, clearing the whole area out when it was already secured LZ.
Oh, it's pretty secure, that's for sure.
He was issued a Distinguished Flying Cross.
Okay.
However, it was revoked.
Yeah, that was the operation right there. That and a Purple Heart.
5/11/70.
Yep, that's it. That was it. That's the operation Phil and I were in, Operation Hatchet Man, April 1970.
March
1970, March 12th, 1970.
No, bad.
Flying Cross, a bunch of bullshit.
But it was revoked.
Well, yeah, because it was bullshit. And so was the Purple Heart.
Yeah, but, I don't know about the Purple Heart. I haven't got to that yet, but there are very few revocations of award orders in the whole history of award orders.
What was the reason for that? What was the reason for that revocation?
All there was is there was another set of orders afterward. Said revoked. And
lied is what he did.
Most of them don't. I mean, we have one guy. He was a lieutenant up in Phuoc, he claimed to have fought off a squad of VC that had captured him, and when he wrecked his Jeep, and he got himself written up for a Silver Star, and later he had another Silver Star.
I got that picture.
And both of them were revoked.
I got that picture, Anthony. Cerniak's in there.
Yeah.
Merritt, Sergeant Merritt.
I very clearly remember the first day I met you in the team house down below.
Okay.
I had been in country a long time, and you were kind of recent, and we compared notes about your tour in VMI and my lack of career and experience in that I was in high school the previous year.
Yeah, that that operation that I was telling you about that Phil and I were on, that we spent the night out there on a small hill and they were harassed us all during the night. And the next day we left a real small hilltop. Well, I wouldn't even call it a hill. We went down in the valley. You had to get water. I mean, we knew there's a river down there. And Phil and Cliff have heard this story a million times, but we punched through the jungle into the river, and here's a lone NVA soldier in the middle of the river, okay? And, American Army, they just killed the son of a bitch. But, the CIDG, they had to have fun. They're bouncing the tracers off the water, and he goes to the left, and they bounce him off that side, he goes to the right. And finally, they gave him the lie-die, and they came in and say, you stay with us. You try to leave, we're gonna kill you. So he was from a rocket battalion. He gotten separated from his unit, I don't know, a week or two earlier, when they get strafed, I think helicopters strafing him. So he's running around in the jungle, half starved, more than half starved. He was starving. He was full of parasites and all kinds of stuff like that. He was just pitiful. So we gave him a little bit of chow, and he stayed with us. And we had 2 or 3 more nights to do. And finally, we came into the 10-foot, and I knew they'd turn him over to the headquarters, what do you call it? Regional headquarters for the Arvin headquarters there. And I didn't think anything of it. I took a shower, farted around the camp doing my job. And about a week later, I went back out another operation for another week. And, did that, came in, got cleaned up at that $1 million shower that we had, got cleaned up there. And I got new, nice fatigues back on. I'm walking around. I'm walking back from where the hospital is up to the top. I'm walking up that gravel road. Now look at this guy coming towards me. He's a Vietnamese guy. He's got nice looking fatigues on and boots. He's pretty spiffy looking. And I look at him, dang, he looks just like that NVA guy we captured. I'll be a son of a gun if he's a spitting image. So he threw a chow-ong on me, and I threw a chow-ong back at him. And then I tracked down the interpreter we had on that operation. I forget who it was, Phil. Was it, who was it, Sam? I can't remember who it was, the interpreter. Anyway, I said, hey, you know that guy we captured on that operation a few weeks ago? Well, they turned him over to district headquarters, didn't they, to be a POW, interrogation? Well, sir, this is the way it worked. They talked to him and they entered an agreement with him. If he would stay in the camp and cook their rice and sweep up and wash their clothes and do a few odd jobs, honeydews for them, they wouldn't turn him in as a prisoner of war. So this guy had it made, Cliff and Frank fixed him up, got him all cleaned up inside and out. And he's getting 3 meals a day, a roof over his head. Didn't have to go out on operations like everybody else did. And he threw that big old smile, that big old chow-ong on me, and he meant it.
Like
I'm thinking,
Fuji
what kind of war?
Navy.
What kind of war is this? Hey,
Is anybody?
Anthony, were you on that operation with Merritt and Bob Cerniak when you guys were out there at night and a big NVA regiment or something was moving and they had to DD Mao west? Okay,
yes.
You guys, when dawn finally came, nobody knew where they were. And I think Merritt had Cerniak climb up that tree and called in a spotter round from the artillery so he could get a sighting on it. And that damn thing was so far east, he could barely hear it. You guys are way over there. I bet you were scared that night.
Oh, you know, Cerniak and I have compared notes. We talk almost, well, certainly every Veterans Day. And probably our first 4 or 5 operations, we both went out together, but we were always in a different element. As you were with Cerniak all the time, and I was with Ariano till he got his ass shot up. And every comparison that we made, every time we described what we went out with and all, the only thing that matched was that we went to the 15th aerial port. But everything else was a totally different point of view. I mean, like it was a different war, you know?
You remember Jackson? He was in the Mike Force. Jackson and Ray, Sergeant Ray.
Yes. Does anybody know what happened to Ray?
Don't know what happened to him. He just disappeared.
I don't think he said 10 words in the whole year
right.
there.
You're right. He was that way with me also. A good soldier, though. Damn good
Oh,
soldier.
yes. Very good. As was Stephen Rice, who never said a fucking word.
Ivan,
Yeah,
when were
right.
you in the Mike Force? Ivan, when were you in the Mike Force?
I was assigned in June of '68, but because of Hatan being all that problems there, I went over back in September. I went to the Mike Force and I Corps.
Okay. Okay.
Who's the Ray you're talking about? Not the Australian. What Ray?
What was that?
Oh, I think his first name was Ron.
Ron Ray,
Yes.
R-A-Y.
Yeah, R-A-Y.
R-A-Y.
Yeah, I think the XO was Major McMullen at the time I was there. He was a tall black guy. And then Guess Reagan was the CO at Hatan, and he got reassigned as XO of Mike Force. And then he came back to Hatan. He got, when the rocket hit the team house, he got severely wounded. So.
You guys remember talking about somebody who you accused them of having a British accent when they were Australian? That that twang of an Australian actually has a name. It's called Strine. S-T-R-I-N-E. Good day, mate, is speaking Strine.
Look, I've got a Ronald E. Ray, who
That's
was
him.
captain of the 46th Company. And
That's the guy.
He got a Medal of Honor with the 25th Infantry Division.
No, that wasn't the guy.
No.
No. Oh, no, your guy is Ronald L. Ray.
Okay.
And I haven't bothered to look for him at present, but I think that he's in Colorado.
Did anybody know Denny Larimore?
Larimore got lost. He had an email of Dennis at ESL, something or other. And yeah, I can't find him anymore. I don't know what happened to him. I don't see any obituaries.
The last address I had for him was 830 Arlington Avenue in Monterey, California. And I only know that because his name and address is written in the same book that I got from Cliff Neal. And believe it or not, of all those dermatological problems that people can have, I personally have had most of them.
He had a post office box in Prescott, Arizona, but I can't find him. His email doesn't work.
And nobody ever heard again from Stephen Rice either.
Rice, I did talk to last week. He's very taciturn. He's in North Carolina, Marshall, North Carolina.
Wasn't
And
Rice one of the radio people at
Yeah,
10 Foot?
yeah,
radio operator, Steve A. Rice Jr.
Okay.
yeah.
His email is steverice6338@gmail.com. I may have not sent him an email invitation here because I only talked to him on the 22nd, so 2 days ago. I don't, maybe I just saying.
I'm kind of slow, Stephen. Was it Steve Rice 6338 at what?
Gmail.com.
Yeah. His number is 828-618-0030. And you can go ahead and mute yourself over there and just call him up right now.
Oh, I was going to say goodbye to you guys. I've got stuff I got to get at, but thank you so much for inviting me. And it's wonderful to see you, old guys. And
Wonderful to see you too.
it's a family joke because all the veterans I know are
Nice seeing you.
old guys.
Good seeing you.
I gotta take off
guys.
also.
I've got
I
to
got
sign
things
off.
to do. Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Steve, for setting this up.
That's
I
good
appreciate it.
seeing you.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'm going to have to run myself.
Do we have anybody here from the original A102 at the Ashdown?
Yes,
Dave,
yes, yeah, right here, Dave Plain.
Oh, that's okay. Well, look, good to meet you. I've always wanted to know somebody, meet somebody that was, were you there when it got overran?
No, I got out of there about 10 days before.
Yeah,
I was in the
man.
hospital. We got out of the hospital and they replaced me with George Poyton, and they used me as a radio operator on the C detachment. And I was on the radio the day they got attacked and the day after they got attacked. And I also went out on the observation plane after they were Ian to try to raise contact with them. We finally
Did
got
any of
it out.
Did any of the SF guys get killed there at 102, the first camp?
Yeah.
Let's turn on the lights,
So,
which aren't in here.
let's see, Billy Hall, Philip Stahl, Francis McCann, I think there was a guy named Allen too that got killed. A couple of those guys were from Natrang on the
Mike Force.
Mike Force out of Natrang.
Okay. Well, I knew it was pretty bad. I never had talked to anybody about it. But they just couldn't hold it on account they couldn't resupply. Is that what it was?
No, they were just overwhelmed, and they had two companies of CIDG turn their guns on them.
Oh, I see.
They lost two of the walls of the triangle, and then when they had a bunch of wounded in that, and Marines came in to pick up the wounded, and all the CIDG and then Mike Force, all of them took off trying to get out of the helicopters. Of course, they weren't able to, so they.
Yeah, the helicopters came into the LZ where they E&E to. Not
Yeah.
to the camp was just flooded.
No, they came in right to the outside of the camp. The helicopters came in.
Okay.
They flooded the helicopters, And then they did get a bunch of people out, and especially the American wounded. And then 2 days later, they made it to an abandoned airstrip, and the rest of the Americans were rescued there. They had to, at the last airstrip, they had to, helicopters had to turn their guns on some of the people because they were trying to overcrowd the helicopters.
And I think Atkins and somebody else went off to a third LZ and were picked up a couple days later.
Not an American.
Atkins.
Not an American. All the Americans were out on Saturday. I forget the date, but it was 2 days after the camp was attacked. And they might pick somebody up, but it was not an American. Because they flew all of them into Phuoc, and I was up in the L-19 at the time, myself and another guy in an L-19, and we got orders to fly to Phuoc and give the planes to Captain Blair and Captain Carter. And I got there, and it just so happened the Marine commander, who had also had the E&E because his helicopter got shot down, he called a news conference, and at the news conference he told about them having to shoot the Vietnamese, and that cost him his career for telling that. But
Well, Dave, was that strictly the NVA that hit the camp?
yes,
Okay.
NVA and then the CIDG and sympathizers that were inside the camp.
Okay.
Because somebody cut the antenna wires prior to the attack, or as the attack was going on. Yeah, I've got that book.
Steve,
Yeah.
I spoke to a very nice lady at 828-618-0030 and asked for Stephen Rice, and she said, no, this is not his number. You keep calling here and asking for him. And I explained I'd never done it before and apologized deeply, but you do have a wrong number.
Okay, then the other number that I had here is 828-775-8844. So
Cut around, fellas. Good
Okay.
talking to y'all. Y'all
Bye-bye,
be good now.
guys.
See ya.
Anthony, I'm gonna get a hold of you on email. I want to talk to you about
Excellent.
that. I want to talk to you about that leukemia thing.
All right. Live long and prosper, guys.
You bet.
Okay.
You too.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it, but I gotta go. Bye now.
Well, if nobody else has any questions about Ashau, I'm going to sign off too. Nice talking with you and nice
Yeah.
listening to you. I wish there would have been some more people on here from Ashau.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope that you'll continue to talk with others. There are emails of names of people on your invitation letter. So you can go ahead and talk with them and get together in any way you want.
Enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
well, I'm definitely proud to have known somebody now that was at Ashau.
Hey, Neil, did that lady that you sawed the leg off, did she survive?
She did. She survived. That's when we took her leg off, we had to keep her about a week because of the weather and everything.
You're right.
They got real fickle about those helicopters, coming in there. And we actually fixed her where they could, would be easy to put a prosthesis on it. She lived, came back to camp, was doing good.
What are we doing?
But what happened was I don't know who he was, some Navy surgeon or something thought that some doctors did it. And when he found out we did it, he was amazed. So he wrote us up. That's all I can tell you. But, but I'll tell you that, Fox, he knew how to put her to, he knew how to, he made up some anesthesia there that worked, and it was really amazing. Fox was a very smart young man. Yes, he was. But she made it. She lived, and
Good.
came back to camp.
How far did you have to amputate?
It was on up about 3 or 4 inches above her knee.
Oh, okay.
It really messed her up. I mean, it was just a mangle of stuff, hanging there. And if we hadn't, I don't think she would have made it if we hadn't. It probably got infected, and we had on a lot of antibiotics after we got food, but she didn't get infection.
What did she get shot? You get shrapnel or?
She stepped on one of those mines, some kind of one of them toe poppers or something. I don't know what they call them.
Okay.
It was a small land mine of some kind, some type of something the Vietnamese had rigged up there, the VC.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly what it was, but I know it really messed her leg up. It was just hanging meat and bone stuff hanging there, So we decided we'd do what we could, and then so far it turned out.
It's good.
But like I say, Frank Fox, he became an ophthalmologist, and they say ophthalmology is one of the toughest medical school, specialists they are to learn. You got to be pretty smart to be an ophthalmologist.
Yeah.
And
well, they were talking earlier about sending those balloons up every day to get the radio back what it is. We had to send them up in order to for the helicopters to come in or the C-7s to fly into camp, because if there was fog at the time, we'd have to go up and raise them up, get all the information, and send it to C-Team, and they would pass it on to the Air Force. That's why we did that.
Yeah, I knew it. That weather over there could get real bad.
Right.
Not good for aircraft.
No.
But
The biggest ones we could get into camp was the C-7s.
C-7.
Yeah, the caribous. Then they finally come out with, because we had a short runway, they had the thrusters on the jets on the side. They'd take off, and as soon as they go to an angle, they'd kick those jets on to get clearance to get Say again?
What year was that the caribous were coming in?
See, I was there in 67 to 68 at 104 at Hatan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they were coming in, gosh, probably in April, May timeframe or something like that.
I think at Phuoc, didn't we used to get 23s in for the Lolex?
Yeah, the 23.
They dropped them skids.
Yeah, we couldn't, our runway was too short for those.
Well, they never landed with that Lolex, those big aluminum skids. They dropped those out of the back. They never really landed.
Yeah, we didn't have them there at the camp. We had C-7 caribou come in, and sometimes they would just come by, kick them out the rear end, and take off again.
Well, we had this.
I remember that Nook Mom. That Nook Mom, when they dropped that stuff in there, you have to go pick that up. It stunk like hell.
It was rough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But we had a CB that came to 10 Phuoc. His name was Jeffrey. You remember him, don't you, Phil?
I do.
Phil's gone.
Yeah.
He came in for the airstrip there, right?
He came in and he fixed that airstrip.
Yeah. Well, we were there at the same time, Dot. I don't remember you. You were there in January, February, right?
I reckon so. I would have, let's see, I'd have,
Were either you two talking about Dennis Lauermore?
Somebody brought up his name.
Yeah.
no, we were talking about that Navy CB they sent to 10 Phuoc built that runway.
Yeah, trying to think what his name was.
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, yeah.
What
No,
was,
Yeah.
what was
it was something like that, Jeffrey, or, yeah. Because Kleckner got him, didn't he get him a medal or something?
Okay, now, I've been on several operations with Kleckner, and Kleckner's adage was he always tried to take a medic with him. So, and it worked out. But if you look, just go on the internet and look up Navy CB and an SF
Right.
medic. And
yeah, I looked at that article.
He's got a story he tells, and he's telling it about that's that Jeffrey guy that built that runway. Of course, he colored it up a little bit, you know.
Just a little bit, because I don't remember all that part of it.
Well, he colored it up. But it's still a good story. But Jeffrey was a good guy.
Yeah. He spent what, like a month there, wasn't it?
He spent a good time there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm over here at the house watching this video. Come on. He built that runway, put all that PSP down. Those 123s could come on in there and land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had.
Yeah, he did a good. He came in all by himself.
That's right. It had a little old something about like a 450 Cat or John Deere. What big?
Yeah.
You remember him, don't you, Barry?
Looks like a bunch of people froze up here.
Yeah, they did. Neil froze up.
Yeah. Look, I thought I had a message here that says there's a new number for Dennis Lauermore. I'm trying to call it. But it didn't, haven't worked so far. So I don't know.
I think that was the last.
Somebody mentioned him.
Yeah, they did. I can't remember who.
But anyway,
So Steve, are you just having 108 tomorrow?
No. I'll call 108 back after I get the film developed.
So today's your last time then.
I have 101 on next Wednesday.
Okay.
And I'll also the afternoon session on Wednesday. If I find anybody from A110, I'll have a session with them, but I don't think there's anybody there.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see how many from 101 shows up from Long Bay.
I've got a lot of names I've got emails for.
Good.
But I'm getting disappointed that the number of people we're getting this today and yesterday was disappointing.
Well, there was more today than there were yesterday, weren't there?
About the same, about 10 per camp, maybe a little bit more in the second session today. But I would have thought by now this thing would have blown up a lot. There are some people like Dave who showed up before and he's back again because he enjoyed it the first time around.
Right.
Hey, Cliff, on whatever happened, Lampkins was there, right? This
Doc
sergeant?
Lampkins. Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Yeah, Doc Lampkins, he was a team sergeant, and I think he'd been over there about 4 or 5 times, and he had kind of some type of problem. I mean, he shot a guy.
Yeah, that was at Chulai. Yeah, he ended up in Leavenworth, I think.
Yeah, he went in there at Chulai and he shot one of the Americal guys, and I talked to Clackner, kept up with him, and he said that he was doing pretty good, and of course he got out of Leavenworth. He didn't,
Yeah.
and he said he was doing pretty good, but he never could get him to come to any of the conventions or anything. So that's all I know about him.
No, he didn't like when you got there, he didn't stay there much longer, did he? Before, because I think when I went to the hospital, me and what was his name? O'Donnell, I think he was still there.
He was.
So that was.
I got there right after you left.
Oh, okay.
Undoubtedly, it was just a few days after you left, but Lampkin stayed there about 2 or 3 months after I got there.
Oh, that long?
He stayed there a pretty good while. Yeah, they told me when I wake him up, down in the talk, he slept in that, round from a radio room, and they told me, when you're on radio, they had a stick laying by the door, and they said just reach in there and kind of rattle it, a little bit. Don't go in there, because he had that 45 laying on his bed. That's what so that's what I always did. I'd take that stick and I'd tap in there, and he'd get up.
So you were a radio man too, for the camp?
Who?
You were doing that too? Some of the radio?
Well, no, I'm not no radio man. They just had us to monitor. Everybody had to monitor. The combo man couldn't stay up all night. We took 2-hour turns all during the night.
Yeah, because there wasn't a radio operator left when I left, I think.
No, we lost a lot of them there. In fact, when I was at Hatan, I lost 4 within about a 2.5 month period. Before then I'd go back to C-Team, then they'd pull me back again because they lost another one.
Yeah, it was. Why so many radio operators, I wonder?
I have no idea, but I worked the radio at Hatan. I think I had almost 30 some days straight without another radio operator because they didn't have anybody.
Yeah, well, what we'd do, I didn't, like all we did is just we'd listen out for going there and sitting, whether in the radio room, 2 hours every night when we was in camp.
Right.
Everybody did, take turns, to monitor the people out on patrol.
Right.
So, and of course, Phil, he's great radio. He's a great commo man. He can fix anything.
Phil Jacks?
Yeah, Phil Jacks, that's right.
Yeah, he lives over in Eastern Oregon there.
Yeah. And he got there, and he does a good job. But
so who worked all the Morse code at the camp? If there's no radio operator.
Well, you had the call-in sideband radio. You could do voice or CW, and if the CW was down, then we could use voice to transmit.
But there was no coding then.
No. You just get on the phone and call whatever the name was back at C-Team, and you could talk to them, and they explained that your CW is wrong, your bug's broken, or whatever like that.
Did you guys get the that code machine they came up with for FM?
No, that was after
we got that thing. It looked like a small 8-track, and it had all these little lines in it, and they had us testing it we did it with Geovuck and a couple other camps that were close enough to us, and we do Fox mic on it, and you'd be talking, and usually they'd go like all after the, because what it would do is the signal wasn't strong enough, and when it started to scramble it wouldn't let it scramble back if it went weak for a minute, Yeah. So I guess they never used it after.
No, that was after I left, and if they had that.
Yeah, it was in 68, 69.
The latter part of 68, yeah.
Yeah, they thought this was going to be the answer to everything, that you wouldn't need to do the Morse code anymore because it would have been secure voice.
Well, I went back to Fort Bragg for the 50th reunion for the SF. And so they took us through the Gabriel demonstration and they had stuff laid out. And so I went over the comma portion. I said, where's the Morse code? And or how do you do that? And they looked at me like I had was a deer in the headlight. And I said, they don't copy it anymore. They don't teach it. And I said, do you mean to tell they use microwave? And I said, you're telling me that there's these third world countries don't use CW anymore? No, they don't. They don't train that.
Huh.
So
I got something left here from Phuoc. I got this thing. This was the original one they had there, the bug, and the damn thing never worked right. You know, you couldn't send more than like 15 words a minute on it, you know? So we had this piece of shit one that was all messed up and scratched up and everything. And that thing could go like hell. Yeah. So I says, we're going to use that thing. They go, no, I says, I'll take it home.
I brought mine home with me. And what you do is right here, you slide that back and forth through your speed. And if you have it real close, you go, it's real slow, da-da, da-da. But if you move it back, then you just kind of really go back and forth on it.
But this one would never work right. What I ended up doing is like 2 years ago, I sent it, I got all the parts from the original outfit that, what is it, Vibraplex or whatever. They sent me all the parts to rebuild the thing. It was falling apart.
All right, listen, guys, I hope to see y'all in at the convention.
Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And I've enjoyed it. And Steve, I really do thank you for keeping all us in touch all these years. I mean, I really want to thank you.
You've done a hell of a job.
Send me a copy of those orders.
Yeah, you're gonna get them, and I'm glad I was able to get on here, and I'm glad to be associated with all of the 10-foot guys and everybody in Special Forces. I love you guys.
Same here.
Y'all take care.
See you later.
See you guys.
Steve, I'll see you next Wednesday then.
Okay.